Hello, love and light. My name is Reverend Penelope Stewart. Today is March 21st, 2016. I run a online metaphysical bookstore, uh, Ancestry. Check us out, Google us, see what we got going on. But I'll tell you about that later. Right now, I want to reach out to the ones who are trying to transition out of religion. And I know that's very hard for you to do because of the pressure of the masses. You are not crazy, you're just becoming aware. The best thing to do when you start coming into consciousness is to meditate, try to connect with your ancestors. Your DNA has already been activated. That's why that's another subject. But your DNA has already been activated because now you're conscious. So now you have to learn how to balance those energies. Now it's time to understand the being that you are. So no, you're not. You're not crazy. The best thing I can tell you is to get with others, build with others, be with others, learn more about your history, uh, and the people that's not transitioning right now. You need to look at the facts of your history. You need to look at the facts of your history, uh, who you are as an African person in that's been scattered all over the planet. You need to look at that, and I'm going to get a little bit into that later. Um, but you need to look at that and accept the facts about the history about politics and religion. You know what I'm saying? We can't vote our way out of here by non-African standards. By accepting their religion or politics, we have tried that. It's not going to work. We're going to have to go back to uh, African culture to gain back our balance and understand who we are and to know who we are. We're not going to get any status quo in the world by dealing with these individuals. It's just not going to work. We're going to have to build, focus on us. I mean, I can't explain, I can't emphasize that any. I don't know how to emphasize that to you. I mean, it is very imperative. It's very important that we find out who we are and you embrace your African religion and culture. There's nothing to be afraid of, but I'm going to wrap that up later. You know, I'm going to talk a little bit about that later, but this is just a short video for the ones who are transitioning. It's very important that you become aware. It's very important that we honor our ancestors instead of these holidays. No. These holidays are supposed to be in remembrance of our ancestors. So that's what the meetup group is about. It's about meeting up once a month, honoring those ancestors' birthdays within that month. Um, Bringing whatever creative ideas that you have, how you want to remember an ancestor, and we celebrate that. So that's what that's about, honoring our ancestors and walking in their legacy and creating programs and centers that we can come together and talk about those things, because those are the things we're supposed to be talking about, not what's going on now in some of these religious structures. That's not how we operated. Everything about us, it was all included. It wasn't just like the church was separate from home life. It was all together because it was an economic provider as well as us coming together. We all did for each other. We fed one another. All of us had wealth together. So that's another thing I'll talk about. That's what I want to talk about at the meetup groups. If you know you're very interested in it, come find us on Facebook. Honoring African ancestors matter. They really, really do. When I began to transition, I remember that I start honoring my ancestors, and it was because of I can't remember his name right. I might get his name wrong, but his name Jean Monnet. He runs a small organization on Facebook called Nigga Church. If it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have shifted so much and knowing more about my African religion and spirituality. Okay, so he kind of opened my mind up to that. The things, the subjects, he would open up and dialogue about, and so that kind of helped me start looking at African religion from another perspective. Okay, and so when I start under my ancestors, all these things start to happen. Just as I pray for them, they just start happening, which was totally different from what I was used to, with Christian religion. You know, I actually was experiencing my ancestors manipulating my physical reality. They were actually, I was being blessed with things. I would talk to them, and all of a sudden, these things, I'd be blessed with certain things. I got a ticket one time, and then I was really upset about that ticket too. And I was like, I'm gonna try this. So I talked to my ancestors about it, and I'm like, I can't pay this ticket or whatever, whatever. I got a phone call that was letting me know that I had access to these kind of monies or whatever. I was like, wow. So it was just a love relationship. The more I fell in love with my Africanness, I always been drawn to voodoo. Even in church, I was listening to them talk about that, and I was like, that sound like voodoo. That sound like African religion, you know. And then when I started going down that path, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what it is. Everything has been plagiarized. But we'll talk about that later. So this is what's going on, African people. For the ones who's transitioning, don't give up. Get around others that's just like you. Um, Now is the time to start building. It's nothing to be afraid of. We don't really have time to really talk about, be stuck on what happened to us. It happened to us, and now this is the power that we have now, knowledge and doing something with it. We can't just sit around and talk about it. No, it doesn't work that way. You actually have to do something, put this in action to have the ancestor to work with you closely, because this is what we're supposed to be doing. We are our ancestors. This is who we are. Okay, and keeping their legacy alive. And the more you walk in their legacy, the more they can help you more. The more you honor them. Because Jesus is not our ancestor. He's just not. He's a made up person, individual. I don't know how to break that down to make you understand that he is not real. Now he's probably real to the people, who created him. He's probably real for them, but he's not. He's not our ancestors, people, African people. He's not our ancestors. You don't need to claim that you have something greater than that. Okay, everything that quote unquote the non-white has, it comes from us because we were the first people. It's just a knockoff of the original. You don't need it, and I mean literally mean it. It's just a knockoff. It's just a wannabe. Okay, and this is the truth. I'm not trying to be mean or crush nobody else's religious beliefs or anything like that, but it comes from you. So there's no reason to pretend with these, with something counterfeit. It's no reason for that. And I'm speaking honestly and truthfully. I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything like that. I'm just telling you the truth about you, about who you are, so you can get more familiar about you. You know. So that's it. I wanted to talk about something else. You find out where you come from, research your history, find others like you. Uh, Focus on unity and building economic structures. If you're in the Arkansas area, close to Little Rock, something like that, find us on meetup.com. Uh, and I also have a website. But for the people that's transitioning, I know it's hard. I know it's hard, and people look at you like you crazy. I know I've been through it. I done cried and everything. I understand what you're going through. My thing is reach out to others like you, create a group. Get with others like you and create something that's spiritually and economically based, so you can emulate your ancestors. Okay, because that's going to make all the difference. or if you're just starting and you want to honor your ancestors and you don't know where to go spiritually from that, I talk about that at the meetups too, how to set up an altar, all of that to have something more, because I know I feel more spiritually connected to my ancestors with the altar set up in my home. uh, I have several. I have several altars set up in my home, but my ancestor altar, it's become more and more intimate to me the more longer that I have it, and my life has just been beautiful ever since I've embraced who I am. Go harder with it. You know what I'm saying? And even in my family they were the same way, but they see how wonderful my life has been and how happy I am and how open I am, and I think that's opening up a just keep being you. Go harder with it. Establish a stronger spiritual connection. Just don't stop at your consciousness. Um, Start honoring your ancestors. Invite that because your DNA is open now, and now it's time to make those cosmogenetic connections with your ancestors. Because if you awaken to that genetic DNA, that memory that's in your DNA, help wake you up, and you're gonna have to get back into your knowingness. And the more that you start knowing about yourself and moving on that, the more furious you become. The more furious you become. That's the only way I can explain it to people transitioning. Get out Facebook, get busy. You know, make these connections, make it happen. uh, don't stop at Facebook. Now's the time to start incorporating things, getting with others like you, building things, because together you can do anything. I just have to convince y'all that, because y'all don't want to get out these jobs. I was talking to my fiance the other night, and I was telling him when I first got into working as a CNA doing private care, I tried to get others to come on with me, but they were stuck at these jobs. But you know how much money we would have made if we would have, as CNAs, as 10 African CNAs get together and open up a company. That's money, because I was doing it for one patient by myself, and I think I was making up to $400 to $500 a week by myself. By myself, okay? So I was doing one patient. So you're getting paid by the hour. You're not getting paid by the patient. Get outside the box. You know what I'm saying? So work together to establish businesses. You're working in that field anyway, African American women. Why not dominate it instead of being used like that? So that's just another thing to how we think. We're gonna have to start thinking out the box. We're gonna have to start creating jobs. And I know this transitioning thing is hard. Believe me, I know you want to give back in, but once you awaken, you can't go back. It's going to be very hard for you to do, and you're going to feel guilty about participating in that, because you're just playing with an illusion. It's not real. This is somebody else's reality. It's not yours. So we have to create our own reality for us, because everyone that we have someone give to us, it's their illusion that they are asking us to participate in, and it's going to benefit them and not us. So this, I mean, you have to look at, it's very simple. The solution to our problem is very, very simple. We have just got to start acting on it. And just don't stop at social media. Reach out to other Africans. um, I say undermine these churches. If your church is not doing this, and everybody is not getting wealthy, your church don't own a grocery store where everybody it can invest in. If they're not helping African people, it's still some homeless, and I can go on and on with that. But if they're not doing that, it's time to start doing that. It's time to start doing that, and stop putting all your money in church, because that money is supposed to help nation build, not build for someone else. It's supposed to build your nation up. So I think that's all. But I hope this information was helpful. I wanted to I wanted to inspire others and motivate others. So I hope this helped you. Again, my name is Penelope Stewart. I run a online metaphysical store called Chemistry. I'll come back with a little bit about that. But this is for my people that's transitioning. Don't give up. Be fierce and learn. Don't stop learning and connect spiritually with your ancestors. I love you and love and light, and may the ancestors lead you to truth.